Hi, and very good morning to one and all. And I welcome you all to the second session on XML. So, in the previous session on Monday, we have started XML. So, we have studied some of the introduction points regarding this XML. And today, we are going to see many more points regarding the introduction of XML. So, before going to the today's session, we will revise the things what we have discussed so far in this XML. Right? So we all know XML is an extensible markup language and it is used for storing and transferring of data. XML is different from HTML, where HTML mainly focuses on mix of the data over the web page, but XML focuses on storing and transferring of the data. And XML is a simple document with the data which can be used to store and transfer within the system, irrespective of their hardware and software compatibilities. And it is recommended by W3C, which means World Wide Web Consortium, and it was released in the year late 90s. And it was created to provide an easy to use and store self-describing data. Right? XML we have studied in the previous session. So the people who had missed this session, they can go through the session, which was kept in our college YouTube channel. Right? So XML is platform independent and language independent. So it is both platform independent and language independent. So with respect to of the platform and with respect to of the language, we can use XML any way we want. XML tags are not predefined. They must define. You must define your own tags. We have studied in the earlier session. So similar to HTML, there are no predefined tags, right? So we have to define our own tags here. So there are some advantages. It separates data from HTML. It simplifies data sharing. It simplifies data transport, simplifies platform change, and increases data availability. So XML is used for data sharing, data transport. It simplifies the platform change, data availability, and separates data from HTML. So and then we have seen the differences, right? So HTML mainly focuses on look of the data, and XML focuses on data rather than it look, right? HTML is not case sensitive. We can use small letters or capital letters in the place of tag names, but XML is case sensitive language. So if we define a tag with small characters, we need to close the same tag with the small characters only, right? So here HTML is static and XML is dynamic. So in HTML, the closing tag is optional, but in XML, the closing tag is mandatory. We have seen a break tag in the example in the previous session. So HTML have some predefined tags. For example, H1 to H6, bold, B. Right? For italic, we use I, and for preserving white spaces, we use P R E. In order to insert an image into a web page, we use ING tag, right? In order to use an applet in the HTML code, we use applet tag. So similarly, we have multiple number of tags which are predefined in HTML, but in XML, there are no predefined tags. All the tags are user defined. So we will define one tag according to our use, and we can use the tag for our own purpose, right? So HTML does not preserve white spaces, and XML preserves white spaces. So in HTML, if we define something called as computer science and engineering, where if we have 10 spaces between computer and science and 10 spaces between science and engineering, although they will be displayed on the web page with only one space. Remaining 9 spaces are not preserved in HTML. But if you define the same thing in XML, total 10 spaces will be displayed over the output of the code, right? And then syntax of XML. So XML document must have a root element, and root element will be the parent element. And for the parent element, we can have child element, and for the child element, we can have some data or some subchild elements, right? So XML is case sensitive, and XML prolog, and then all the elements in XML should be properly nested, and they should not overlap. So we have seen in the previous session. So we need to close the tags without overlapping with other tags. So they should be properly nested, right? Next one, all XML documents must have a closing tag, right? And then it is the continuation of syntax of XML. XML document has a tree structure. XML elements have an attribute to add extra information about the element. XML attribute must always be quoted. So we can use single quotes or double quotes in order to represent the values for the attributes of an XML tag. Right? We all seen that by using image tag in HTML, we have a source attribute. So for the source attribute, we provide some value, and the value should be inside the double quote. So similarly, when you are providing a value for an attribute in XML, we need to maintain that value in single quotes or double quotes. And this is the so from with this slide, we have closed the previous section, right? So now in today's session, we are going to see about the disadvantages of XML. So we are going to start today's session with the disadvantages of XML. Sorry, not disadvantages of XML, disadvantages of attributes. So we are going to start today's session with disadvantages of attributes, right? So before going to see about the disadvantages, so let us see how we define an attribute. So here we have written an XML code. Here it is. I'm sorry, we cannot open this XML document. Just a second. Right. So, for example, as we seen earlier, so the XML structure will be like this. There will be a parent tag. For example, here the parent tag is bookshop, and it is called as root element, right? So under the root element, we can have a child element, right? Under the child element, we can have another child element, right? So for each and every child element or sub-child elements, we can have data or some other element. For example, here bookshop is a root element. For the root element, book is a child element, and for the child element, author is a sub-child element. So for the book, for example, book is C programming, and I'm closing this book. Right, I'm closing this book, and then author, for example, author is having some name equal to, for example, Balaguru Swami, right? Author equal to Balaguru Swami, right? And after declaring the author, I have closed the author tag, right? So now I'm closing the root element, right? So now bookshop is the parent element, book is the child element, and author is one more child element. So here author is having an attribute, and the attribute name is name. So the name of the attribute is name, and we are providing a value to this attribute. If you observe that Balaguru Swami is represented within the double quotes. So that's what we have mentioned in this previous slide, right? That's what we have mentioned in this previous slide. The last point you can see here, XML attributes must always be quoted. We can use single or double quotes. So there is no problem whether we use a single quotes or double quotes. We must and should use some quotes in order to represent the values for an attribute. So here, the highlighted thing is the value, and we are keeping the value to the attribute name, and this name attribute belongs to other element, which is a child element of the parent element bookshop, right? So here, right, let us see the next point. So for the attributes, we have some disadvantages. So let us have a look at each and every disadvantage in detail. The first one, attribute cannot contain multiple values. So here if you observe, I have represented Balaguru Swami, comma, if I have represented another order name, right? Another order name. So this type of syntax is not allowed in XML. So we cannot have multiple values, right? We cannot have multiple values. We can only give one value to an attribute, right? So here it is not possible. We can have either A, B, C, D, E, F as a value for name, or we can have Balaguru Swami as a value for name. So we cannot have more than one value at a time or an attribute, right? So attribute cannot contain multiple values. And see the next one, attributes are not easily expandable. If you want to change in attributes value in future, it may be complicated. So for example, here it is very easy. Here it is very easy. We have only 4 lines of XML code, right? We have only 4 lines of XML code. And in future, if I want to change the value which was given to the attribute name in future, it is not so complicated. We can just simply change Balaguru Swami with another order name. It is not complicated. But if you have written 100 or 1000 lines of XML code, and if you want to change the value of an attribute, it will be more complicated. It is not easy, right? That's why attributes are not easily expandable. If you want to change the attribute value in future, it may be complicated, right? And next one, attributes are more difficult to be manipulated by programs. So that's what we have studied in the second point, right? So attributes are more difficult to be manipulated. So in order to change the attribute, it is more difficult by using the program code, right? So we cannot give multiple number of values to an attribute. So once a value is given to the attribute, and in the future, if you want to change that value, it will be more complicated. It seems that it does not mean that we cannot change the value of an attribute. We can change the value of the attribute, but it may lead to certain complications in an XML document, right? So if you want to change the value of an attribute by programming code, it will be very difficult for us. So we need to be careful, right? We need to be very careful while giving a value to an attribute, right? And next one, fourth one, attributes cannot describe structure. So here we have mentioned that the XML structure will be a parent element followed by a child element, or followed by a sub-child element, or followed by another child element, and so on and so on. There is no part of attributes in the structure of an XML document. So XML document never represent attributes. XML structure never represent attributes, right? So attributes are not here in order to describe the structure of an XML document. Only the structure of an XML document is represented by using the parent element, the child elements, or the sub-child elements only. So attributes do not take part in order to in the representation of the structure of an XML document, right? So mainly 4 disadvantages of attributes. We cannot give multiple values for an attribute. Once the value is given for an attribute, if we want to change the value of an attribute, it will lead to certain complications in the XML document. And if you want to change the value of an attribute by using program code, it will lead to certain complications. And attributes do not describe the structure of an XML document, right? And then let us have a look at the syntax of XML here, right? So here there is one element called as book. You can see here, and this element is this one is called as element. I am representing this one with E. This one is called as element, and this publisher is called as attribute. So I am representing this one with A, right? Book is called as an element of XML. Publisher is called as an attribute of that element, and Tata McGraw-Hill is the value which is given to the attribute publisher of book element. So I am representing this value with B, and it is the closing tag right? It is the closing tag of element book. I am representing with C, right? So it is the basic syntax of XML. So we can have element, so we can have an attribute, and we can provide some value to that attribute, and then we can have a closing tag, right? So analyzing all these things, right? Let us look at the next point here. So book is an element, publisher is an attribute, Tata McGraw-Hill is a value which is provided to that attribute, and slash book is the closing tag of book element, right? So here, publisher, the thing which was highlighted with a different color red is called as attribute of this book element, right? Attribute. Next one, right? Next one. So here, these two things are different from each other. These two things are different from each other. Here, publisher is an attribute, right? Publisher is an attribute, and then, right? And this Tata McGraw-Hill is a value to that attribute. You can see here that red thing was an attribute, and the green thing was an value. But in the below syntax, right? In the below syntax, right? Book is a root element. I am representing it as a root element, or it can also be called as parent element. I am representing it with P, right? Book is a parent element, whereas this one, publisher is a child element, right? Publisher is a child element. And one more thing is that this Tata McGraw-Hill is not the value, it is the text. I am representing it with T. It is the text of the child element publisher. So there is a lot of difference between the first line and the next three lines. In the first line, book is an element, publisher is an attribute, Tata McGraw-Hill is a value, and slash book is a closing tag of the book element. In the next three lines, book is a parent element, where publisher is a child element, Tata McGraw-Hill is a text which belongs to the publisher child element, and then this one is a closing of child tag, and this one is a closing of parent tag, right? So please be clear with these two representations. Next one, these two are different from each other, not same, right? Next one, XML comments. So comments are common in every programming language. So what is the basic purpose of using comments? So for example, if somebody suddenly sees our program, in order to, we are not here to waste their time, right? So he may or may not know the language, but if you made a comment at the starting point of the program or at the middle, by seeing that comment, the viewer of your program can easily understand why you have written that program or why you have written that particular line in your program, right? So that's why we use comment lines. We all are very familiar. We have single line comments, multi-line comments, and documentation comments in the our previous programming languages like C, C++, and Java. So we use double slash symbol in order to represent a single line comment. We use slash star followed by star slash, and in between the slash star and star slash, we write few lines of comments. It is called as multi-line comment. And we use slash double star, and we end with star slash. It is called as a documentation comment. So generally, we use comments in order to represent what we have written there to a Navy user, to a new user, right? So here in XML also allows us to represent the comments. So how we represent the comments in the XML, in the sense we may have a single line or a multi-line or a documentation one, whatever it may be. We use a single way of representing these XML comments, right? So why we use comments? See the point. Comments are used to make codes more understandable, other developers. So if you are the programmer, you know what you are writing and you are very familiar with what the things are going in the program. But if a new user is watching your program or trying to understand your program, just by seeing the comment, it will be very easy for them in order to understand your program. So that is the main purpose of representing comments. So in order to make a new user to understand your program, or in order to make a new user to understand the things what you are writing there, we use comments, right? So in XML, the syntax of representing comments is, right, less than symbol, exclamatory mark, right, dash dash or minus minus, and we can write your comment here, and then we can end the comment by using minus minus greater than symbol, right? So here our main comment will be located in, for example, here if I want to write a comment, I use less than symbol, exclamatory mark, minus minus, and this is a comment. This is a comment, or we can represent this is XML code and this is XML code. If writing my comment is ended, I simply use double dash greater than, right? So if somebody is watching this XML code, uh, if we observe each and everything, bookshop, we don't understand why we use bookshop, we don't understand why we use book here, we don't understand what is C programming. But if we see here, this is XML code, then immediately he will understand that the following program is belonging to extensible markup language, right? So this is how we give comments in XML. So we use less than, exclamatory mark, double dash, followed by our comment, and we end it with double dash and greater than symbol, right? Next one. So an XML document has a self-descriptive structure. It forms a tree structure which is referred as an XML tree. So here it is very important. See here, in the previous session, we have discussed that XML do not have predefined tags, right? Unlike HTML, XML do not have predefined tags. In XML, we need to define our own tags. So that's why, right, we need to define our own tags. That's why they had mentioned that XML document has a self-descriptive structure. It is a self-descriptive structure, right? It was described by self. The person who is writing an XML code, so the structure of the XML document is represented by himself or herself, right? So, right, so it forms a tree structure which is referred as XML tree. So we have seen that we have represented one parent element and we have represented one child element, or we have represented some another child element, or we have represented one sub-child element, right? So if you observe, it is like a tree structure. For example, if I represent the entire thing as a tree, parent, so parent is having, I think parent is having two, or for example, parent is having three childs, right? If parent is having three childs, for example, this is one child and it is another child and it is another child, and this child is having two more sub-childs, right? This child is having two sub-childs. For example, it is sub-child 1 and it is called as sub-child 2, right? If you observe the entire structure of this XML document, it looks like a tree. There is one parent element, another parent element. We have multiple number of child elements, and for child elements we have sub-child elements, etc. Right? So it is a self-descriptive structure. XML is a self-descriptive structure. It forms a tree structure when is referred as an XML tree. Sorry, which is referred as an XML tree. Next one. So the tree structure makes easy to describe an XML document. So if there is an XML code, if you try to represent the XML code in the form of a tree structure, then it will be very easy to describe an XML document. For example, if I want to represent this one as a tree structure, bookshop right? Bookshop will be the uh, parent node, and then book will be the root node, and author will be the second chain, So it will look like, right? It is a parent element, and these two are child elements. So it looks like a tree structure. So when you convert this entire code into a tree structure, it is very easy to represent XML document, right? Next one, getting all this code. Next, so a tree structure contains root element as parent, child element, and so on. So as we discussed here, here if you observe, bookshop is the parent, book is the child, author is the child, and so on. So we can have any number of child classes or any number of sub-child classes under a single parent, any number of child elements or any number of sub-child elements under a single parent element. So a tree structure contains one root element. So a tree structure contains one root element, and this root element will act as a parent element. So if you are writing a HTML code, in HTML code, the root element is HTML. So we start each and every HTML program by starting with the HTML tag only. So it is called as the parent tag for all the tags in HTML. So similar to that one, in XML, we use a root element, and that root element is called as parent element. And that parent element, right, and that parent element can have child element, right, and that parent element can have single child element or multiple number of child elements, and at the same time each and every child element can have some sub-child elements, and so on, right? So in a tree structure, we have to keep this one in your mind. In a tree structure, we will have one parent element, and that parent element can have any number of childs, and that child can have any number of sub-childs, and that sub-childs can have any number of sub-childs, and so on, right? So now, next one. So how this XML tree structure will be. So let us see one example here. So this is how an XML tree structure will be. So there will be one college. So under the college is a parent element here. Another college, student is a child element. And for that student, there are 5 sub-child elements. First name, last name, contact, email, and address are the 5 sub-child elements. And for the address, there is another 3 subfields: city, state, and pin. For example, if you convert this tree structure into an XML document, so let us see how it will look as an XML document. So here, college is just a second. College is a root element, right? College is a root element, and then student is a child element, right? Under the student, we have some sub-childs: first name, last name, contact, email, address. So here, first name, next one, last name, contact, email, I'm sorry. First name is a sub-child element of student, and at the same time, last name is a sub-child element. That's why I'm closing each and everything. Last name is a sub-child element of student, and then contact is a sub-child element of college, and then email is another subchild and then address. I'm sorry, need to open the tag here and we need to close the tag. Address. And so for the address, before closing the address, we have three fields for address, right? Three fields for address: city, state, and pin. So we need to represent city, and then state, and then pin, right? So after representing the address, right, close the student, and then close the college, right? So this is how we convert the tree structure into XML code, right? So if you see here, college is the root element. College is having a child element called a student. Student is having subchilds: first name, last name, contact, email, and address of the subchilds of the student, where address is having few more subchilds: city, state, and pin, right? So if you convert the tree structure which is represented in the slide into XML document, it will look like this one, right? So this is how we can represent our own tags, our own parent tags, or our own sub tags or sub tags, etc. Next one. So rules of well-formed XML. So for every language, not only for XML, for every language, there are some programming rules. Just a second. For every language, there are some programming rules, right? So similar to the other languages, XML is also having some rules in order to um, represent it as a well-formed XML. So let us have a look at each and every rule. First one, it must begin with the XML declaration. So every XML document must begin with an XML declaration. So let us work parallelly with all the rules. So what is XML declaration in the sense? An XML declaration is a processing instruction that identifies a document as XML. So each and every XML document should begin with an XML declaration. So let us have a look at how we define an XML declaration here. Let us have a look here. So for example, if I want to represent this one as an XML, we need to use here question mark XML space version equal to 1.0 space encoding equal to UTF. I'm sorry, keep this one in capitals. UTF -8, right? Question mark and with a greater than symbol. So each and every XML should start with this declaration. So we need to provide version, right? We need to provide the encoding standard, right? So what this version will specify in the sense, it specifies the version of the XML standard which we are going to use. So at present we are working on 1.0, right? So we have to mention we are going to use the XML version 1.0. We have represented that version equal to 1.0. And encoding in the sense, we have different types of encoding. We have UTF-8, UTF-16, ISO 10646, UTS-2, ISO 10646-UTS-4, etc. So what it defines in the sense, it defines the character encoding used in the document. So if you represent a character inside the document, so how that character is to be encoded should be specified here. So if you represent UTF-8, so the characters in the document will be encoded according to the rules of UTF-8, right? So if you represent it or not, UTF-8 is the default encoding which is followed by XML, right? And next one, right? So keep the things in your mind. Each and every XML document should start with this XML tag. XML tag, for XML tag, we have to represent two attributes. The names of the two attributes are version and encoding. Names of the two attributes are version and encoding. So for version, we have to provide 1.0, which represents the present version we are using for XML. And the encoding, the default encoding is UTF-8. So the characters will be converted according to the encoding representation here, right? Next one. Next one. It must have one unique root element. So it must have one unique root element. So one unique root element in the sense, if you observe here, college is a unique element. There is no other element with the name college, right? It is one unique element and it is called as root element, or the other name for this one is called as parent element. Next one. All start tags of XML documents must have end tags. So this is the point we have studied in the differences between HTML and XML. So each and every tag we open, we must and should close the tag at the end, before the end, right? So all the starting tags of XML document must match ending tags. So here, you observe the document. So college is having the ending tag here. Student is having the ending tag here. Address is having the ending tag, right? Address is the opening tag of address and it is the closing tag of address. So pin has the ending tag, state has the ending tag, city has the end tag, email, contact, last name, first name. So each and every tag which we have represented in XML has ending tags, right? Next one. XML tags are case sensitive. So here, if you see here, if I have represented student with last character as T, last character as capital T, and we need to close this tag also with capital T. And if you close this tag with small t, it will show it as an error because all the XML tags are case sensitive. Next one, all the elements must be closed. So here, we cannot represent an element like this. For example, if first year is an element in XML, we cannot represent like this. We have to close the elements, each and every element between the less than and greater than symbols, right? So all the elements must be closed in XML. All the elements must be properly nested. So properly nested in the sense, for example, if we have closed this college tag here, it is a big mistake because college is the parent tag, right? College is the parent element in this XML document. So it must be closed. It must be closed at the end of the document. So here nesting is very, very important. So all the tags should be properly nested. Next one. All attributes must be, or attribute values must be quoted. For example, here we don't have student. For example, if student is having an attribute called as name, and if I want to provide some name called as Vamsi here, and we have to provide some quotates for the values of an attribute. Here, student is an element, right? Here, student is an element, right? Name is an attribute, and Vamsi is the value we are providing to that attribute. We don't provide the value simply like this. We have provided the values within the double quotation. That's what they are saying. So all the values which are going to be provided to an attribute must be quoted. Next one. XML entities must be used for special characters. So here, so for example, we generally define tags with less than and greater than symbol. Less than and greater than symbol. In between the less than and greater than, we generally define tags, right? So in the program, if we want to really use this less than or greater than symbol, or in the program, if we want to really use the slash symbol, right? There, in order to use the things, we use some other alternative things. That's what this point means. XML entities must use some special character, must be used for some special characters, right? Next one, XML validation. So each and every XML document can be validated. So with this, the introduction part has been closed. So from the next class, we are going to see the XML validation. So up to now we have seen the rules regarding a well-formed XML document. So if there is a well-formed XML document, that XML document can be validated in two ways. That is by using the DTDs and schemas. So there are two ways of validating an XML document. So the first way is DTDs and the second way is schemas. So we use XML DTDs, which means the document type definitions, in order to validate an XML document, and we use schemas in order to validate an XML document. So till now, we have completed the introduction topic regarding XML, and in the next class, we are going to concentrate on how to validate an XML file. If there is an XML document, how to validate it, whether we follow all the rules or not, how to validate an XML file. So we can validate it either by using DTDs or by using schemas. So we can look at what is a DTD, how it works, and how it validates an XML code, on what is an schema, how it works, and how it validates an XML code. You can see this in the next session, right? So with this, I'm going to close today's session, right? So in today's session, we have discussed a few more introduction topics. We have discussed the disadvantages of attributes first, and what are the rules of forming a well-formed XML document, and how the document tree structure is represented in XML, right? So the people who are having the doubts regarding today's session or the previous sessions in the XML, they can make a comment in the comment box of this video. And I really thank each and every listener of this video for being here and for being patient, because I went a bit fast, right? I went a bit fast. That's not a problem because we are already lagging in the syllabus. That's why I went a bit fast. So I request you to please don't miss the next session. In the next session, very, very important, if we got any questions from unit number 3, either we get on DTDs or schemas or XSLT or DOM. So the next 4 topics are very, very important, and they will be very easy when you observe or when you listen to the sessions, right? And I really thank each and every listener of this session, and we will meet you in the next session with the topic of how to validate XML documents. So we start with the DTDs, and if there exists time, we end the schemas also in the next session. And thanks a lot.